What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Rage Traders NRL Supercoach podcast video. I hope you're doing well. A lot of crazy things this week being the first major buy, but first and foremost, and the biggest thing is Herbie Farnworth not in. That has rattled the cages of some coaches. That has made things a lot worse and a lot more difficult for this round 12 major buy. I'm going to be going through currently where I'm sitting at the moment with my team, what I'm thinking, my trades and captains for the week, and obviously just a bit of an overview of my thinking and my team. But before we get into that, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment for the algorithm. That helps me a ton. And if you are listening on audio podcast, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I would really appreciate a 5-star review. If you really like the content I put out, the work I put out for myself, and obviously for you guys to be the best super coaches we can be, that would help me a lot. Now, considering I had a bit of a down week last week, only going like literally 58,920 in the round rank, I lost 2,173 spots. That puts me just inside the top 10k, which is 9,928, which honestly I'm not too upset about. It's been a super tough and weird season in my opinion, just with bigger scoring. I'm trying to identify like the scoring changes in quotation marks, because we try to like get behind that, and these 2RFs are going to be massive, these tackle bots, and that's kind of just, Carrigan's still getting 65, 70, and that kind of didn't go the way that I saw it, but still happy with where I am at. Currently, the only trade I've done this week is Manuelelua, sorry if I pronounce that wrong, from the Knights straight to Zach Hosking. Now, I'll go through the reasons why I haven't gone with someone like Tarpanay or Horsburgh, which is someone who I really, really did want to invest in, especially Horsburgh. I really like him, but I'm not trying to jump the gun too much. Now, currently with Herbie Farnworth, without Herbie Farnworth, I have exactly 14 players. Now, I'll just run you through the players I have this week that are playing. I've got Pascoe in at my hooker. I've got Ford, who's hopefully going to be having a good week. Now, there were some comments saying from like the coaching staff that he may still be on restricted minutes. Now, I don't know if that was fake news. I heard that on an NRL fantasy video from someone who, gets good information generally. So just monitor that and see if there's anything you can find on the internet. But still, Jackson Ford being in your team, if you own him, you're happy with it. A lot of people trying to trade for him. So I just wanted to flag that. Again, that could be false information. I've got Lasardi, Hosking, Cooper Bai, Ryan Couchman, Helam Lukey, Tallis Duncan as my just a stacked 2RF, to be honest with you. Purdue being my 5/8. Herbie's still in there just in case something happens. Like, it's not going to hurt me at all. So he's just going to sit in the center position, but he's a 99.99% out. I got Chester, Setutu, Sua from the Bulldogs, and then I got Suafa Alogo and Scotty Drinkwater. So all in all, I think where the biggest part of my week is going to come from is Scotty Drinkwater and what kind of like output he's going to have against South, who have quite a bit of injuries here and there. No Latrell Mitchell, no Campbell Graham, but that doesn't mean they're not going to perform. Now, the reason why I haven't gone all out this week is, I think from memory, and I'm pretty sure about this last season, I remember over kind of trading in the front row forward position. So currently I have Twal and Carrigan in my FRF. Now, if I go in and get Tarpanay or Horsburgh, that's going to leave me with Jackson Ford, Corey Horsburgh, and Alex Twal in that position. Now, not only is that just a bit of an overkill, I don't have movement to go down to the 2RF. I don't have a Toby Couchman. I don't have a Corey Horsburgh there that can sort of have that duality between 2RF and FRF. And that's something I really wanted to be aware of and not overtrade into. Now, also on top of that, I kind of just want to save trades. I'll be honest with you. It's been a very, very aggressive season. If I do this, I'll still have 24 trades left with one boost. It'll be a way to get trades back. Now, the counter argument to this is, next week, if I don't get Tamari Martin in from the New Zealand Warriors, TMM, and he absolutely kills it, he's going to be the trade-in for everyone next week. Now, the plan for me was to get Fletcher Sharp next week. So how do I facilitate that? Because then on top of that, Fletcher Sharp will be someone who I might have to chase. Maybe I miss out. Maybe TMM's the guy I need. Maybe I just get TMM this week and just hope that all this, noise about Luke Metcalf and when he's fit and ready, he'll come back in and, everyone's playing it safe. Maybe that's just a bit of a playing it too safe from me. The thing is, TMM has 2 weeks until he can actually make money. So this week, he is not going to make money after his game. Now, if he comes out and pops out a 40 or 50, I think a lot of people will be sort of scratching their head, being a bit scared, because they come into the Panthers after that. Then they have a bye. That's one thing that scares me. Now, I think the only reason people are really jumping the gun is because he is versing and the Warriors are versing the St. George Dragons. Now, also the massive talking point for me is, well, who am I looking at trading out in the next few weeks? So on top of that, Carrigan needs to go next week. But I think I would rather have Terrell May and Jackson Ford as my 2 front rows for the rest of the season. Heelan Lukey then drops out. Alex Twal comes in. Now, he's said to be due back in round 13. If that doesn't happen, then I have an avenue in 2RF to go to someone like a Corey Horsburgh or someone else that I like from possibly the Dolphins or another player that has a good buy sort of structure. So for me, if I go Carrigan now, or if I trade out an FRF now, what I think to myself is, okay, this is going to be my FRF pairing. So if I'm going Tarpanay now, my FRF pairing over this period is going to be Tarpanay and Ford. And I kind of think to myself, because I know after round 12, West Tigers have no buys up until like round 21 or something. It's like wild. I'm like, wouldn't I rather want Terrell May up there who versus the Bulldogs? He then versus the Panthers, which will be a grindy match. Then they verse Gold Coast in round 15. Then they verse Dolphins in round 16. Like, to me, I think the ceiling of Terrell May is better than what the flat kind of 60-65 Tarpanay can bring. And I think I'd rather want that. Now, if Twal is still having a bit of an injury niggle, that is only going to be a benefit for Terrell May. Also, he didn't get chosen in the Origin. Maybe he starts playing even more harder. So that's something I sort of think of in the back of my mind. And that's where I'm sort of leaning to with my FRF, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be chopping and changing too much, but I did say Carrigan had to go. Now, I also don't know how many minutes Carrigan is going to play in the Origin. He was someone who I thought was, a 60-minute, 50-minute staple. I don't know what's going on there. For memory, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he got put on the interchange. Now, I could be wrong in saying that. I swear it could be the interchange. Even if that isn't the case, I just want to see if he backs up. Because if he backs up and he is a green dot, because they do need to get wins, then the Broncos are versing round 13. They got St. George. Now, he might have limited minutes, but hey, who cares? He's a green dot. And then I can focus on other things. So I'm trying to play it as safe as possible, because if Carrigan comes out and only does 30, 40 minutes in the Origin, then I'm like, he's most probably going to back up. And he's been a staple for me. He's getting, last week he got 67 with a sin bin. The guy is just getting the work done. And that's obviously without Payne Haas there, who is due back soon as well. So I have to monitor that factor in. In the 2RF position, there's mostly 2 to 3 positions I'm really concerned about. 2 max. One is Heelan Lukey. No Thomas Dearden. After round 15, the buy gets, or the structure gets a lot worse for him, or the draw gets a bit tougher. Doesn't have Dearden there to put him through the hole. Compared to someone like a Finafuiaki or someone like that, I could easily move to someone like that, which is what I'm heavily considering. But I don't want to go to a Dolphins player yet because of their buy coming up, which I think is in round 13. Yes, it's in round 13. So I'm a big sort of advocate of looking at like this. If Jack Bostock goes out and scores a 90 this week, people are going to be happy. But I think that's really bad because the way I see it, unless they're going to make you a ton of cash, that 90 is really a 45 because the next week they have a bye. So they're scoring you 0. So I'm a big advocate, unless it's like a Greg Marju, which is something that I did last week where I was like, that negative break even of 100 plus is just ridiculous. Like, if I don't get him now, I'm just never getting him. I felt like that was the exception. But for something like this, for Jack Bostock, where Herbie is now not there, maybe they don't, Herbie's not there. Maybe they just don't play as good as a team. They may go right a bit more because Herbie isn't there. I don't know. So that's something that could be a factor, and you think about that. But also, it's at Canberra's home. I don't know what type of game this could be. For all I know, Canberra could come out and win 24-10. You know what I mean? So they're coming off a bye. They're energized. They're ready. There's some hits to the team. Max Plath isn't there. Flegler isn't there. Herbie Farnworth isn't there. So that's how I sort of think about things. Is that worth a risk? To me, it's not. That's what I'm sort of thinking. And then I guess next week, I also want to start prioritizing looking at like getting these staple CT dubs in. I mean, for all I know, Valentine Holmes could start playing good for the Dragons. That's like a likely not a thing to happen because he's having a shocker season and so are they. But that's where my mind goes. And the other is Tallis Duncan. Now, mainly because I think I really need to watch this game because he's starting in the right centers. That's awful. I think a lot of balls going to go to Sigwaite and Johnston's end. I hope that's not the case, but it could be the case. And that worries me. I hope Duncan shifts throughout the game. And I think Ewan Aiken could possibly be a good grab for him. But we'll have to wait and see. And so they're two or three guys, the third being Cooper Bye, just because if his minutes aren't there, I think he's the guy that has to go first. If I don't see his minutes there this week after Tino not playing in the Origin, picks being out, then I'm really worried. Now, Chris Randall had a HIA issue. I don't know if he's even playing this week. I'm not sure. So that's something I've got to factor in as well, because if he doesn't play, Cooper Bye should get more minutes. But if Chris Randall plays and Cooper Bye still gets crappy minutes, I think I have to make a corrective trade. Then North Queensland, I'll hold Lukey just for 1 or 2 more rounds because they do have the Dolphins at home in round 14. And then round 15 is when I'm going to be looking at moving my North Queensland players like Scott Drinkwater and that. And then I'm still holding Tedesco. So Tedesco is someone who I think I do want to trade, but I want to do that next week to either Dylan Edwards or to a Reece Walsh. I might even get both in, to be honest with you. So that's something I'm really planning for, and I want that money there on the side. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, anything could happen. Like in the first Origin game, Tedesco could get hurt. Dylan Edwards gets called up, and I'm just going straight to Reece Walsh. So I'm just waiting out. We know that Origin is a super physical game, and there could be a lot of injuries that could impact the way we trade and the way we sort of look at the game of Supercoach, and I want to be prepared for that. So at the moment, I'm super happy with my team. Leaning towards Terrell May. Only going to do the one trade this week, I think. Now, on top of that, some players that I've been sort of eyeing out. I wish I could target more people from Knights, but I don't like that they have the round 15 and round 18 bye. The problem is they have really like kind of good games in between. So let's talk about round 13. They have Parramatta. Round 14, they have Melbourne at Amy Park, which is going to be tough. But then round 16, they have St. George. So that inclines me to maybe try and just pick up Fletcher Sharp and get a piece of Newcastle there, and then evaluate whether Fletcher Sharp is the pick or TMM is the pick. Now, there could be a thing where my 5-8 duo is TMM and Fletcher Sharp, and that's what I sort of end the season with, Fletcher Sharp having his run and stuff, because I said in round 15, I want to look at trading out some of the Cowboys. Now, I'm not 100% on that, but round 15 bye into New Zealand at their home, into Panthers at Queensland Country Bank Stadium, into a round 18 bye, into Manly at Four Pines Park, into Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium, which could be a good game, then into Broncos in round 21, who could be on a run by then. So that's something I really want to weigh up. And that's the way I'm thinking about my trades. Now, TMM, 24,874 trades this week. Joe Tarpanay, 6,784. A big talking point that I should mention, Toby Couchman. It's also so ironic that Jerome Hughes is in the top 5 for trades when I traded him out for Drinkwater like two rounds ago. I think it's too late to get Jerome Hughes. That's just me because, after I think it's round 15, it gets a bit awkward for them. Or after round 14, I should say. But that's so funny. It's just so funny. Toby Couchman, I think he's great. I just don't expect him to get the 70 to 75 minutes he got last week. However, if you go to him completely fine, just monitor the injury niggle that he had. And let's talk about vice captains and captaincy. So for sure this week, my captain is going to be Scotty Drinkwater. Now, for you guys, I think we should focus on having a sturdy vice captain or a risky vice captain. Not a sturdy, a very risky vice captain that you think if that team wins, if they play well, he's going to be sneaky pod and could do some great work for you in this round. Now, who comes to mind for that? Now, I think someone like a Jermaine Asako could be a great vice captaincy play if a lot of the ball's going to go the right side. Even someone like KO Weeks, even someone like, I wouldn't be going to Fords. Like I've been thinking of going Jackson Ford, but I don't think he's going to be like, I don't think an 80 is going to cut it. And these Fords aren't going to get like 140. So I'm trying to think of someone that when you look at that score sheet or the stat sheet, you're like, whoa, they had a good game. Now, Bulldogs could produce something really, really special this week. I think a lot of people are underestimating the Bulldogs this week. Someone like Preston could be a great vice captaincy pick. You have to remember, yes, Hughes is there, but Melbourne don't have Harry Grant. They don't have Cameron Munster. They don't have Trent Liero. I know they have Suafaa logo still there, but still through this period, it could get a bit rough. So that's something you really need to respect. But even someone like for the Bulldogs, I mean, I do really like Preston. Even if you wanted to go out on a limb, if you were a Galvin owner, something like that. I know it sounds laughable, but in these type of rounds, anything can happen, and you have to go for really risky picks. And I think the Bulldogs could possibly do something. St. George, New Zealand. I think on the New Zealand edge, I know that Savage sent me an image of him doing captaincy of TMM. That's just really risky to me, but I love his boldness sometimes. But even someone like DWZ could be great. Even someone like Christian Tuipulotu, Valentine Holmes, if you owned him, like they could just come out of nowhere and actually win this game, St. George. We have to remember that they played their best game of the whole season, or best half of the whole season last week, and they got rorted with a try that could have changed the momentum of the whole game. So that's something I'm really taking into consideration. And I know a lot of people are very, very off Valentine Holmes, but this could be a game where he does very, very well. For Manly Gold Coast, I really like some Gold Coast players this game. Even a Jaden Campbell could be really, really good if you don't have a Scotty Drinkwater as your captain. I think that Manly's team is quite depleted, and although they do have Jamal Fogarty and Luke Brooks there, they don't have that edge power. They don't have Hamoli Olakawatu. They don't have Lehigh Hopewadi or Kula. So a lot is going to rely on like Garrick and Clayton Fa'alo'o and on these mids, but I just don't think it's going to cut it. Now, they might get out and win, but Supercoach-wise, Jaden Campbell, someone like even a Keanu Kinney could definitely be someone you look at this week if you've still got him in your team. And then for North Queensland, I really like Scotty Drinkwater this week. Hopefully they have a bounce back game, and he has a bounce back game just Supercoach wise. That would be lovely. I will be biting my nails on this one. And you could go someone from South. I mean, South without Latrell, they've had good games and they've had bad games, but I'm hoping this is a bit of a North Queensland riot. Now, One thing I am a bit worried of, and I know I'm not trying to make this sound awful, there was some absolutely horrendous and just awful news of Jai Arrow with like motor neurons disease. I think that's what it was, and it being sort of like terminal or given amount of time to live. All health and prayers go out to him and his family, and I pray that healing comes to him and everything like that, and a miracle happens, because that should never happen to anyone, and it's a part of this world, and it sickens me that that stuff happens. What I'm worried about in a super coach fashion is, when something happens to a teammate and all of the boys band together and they come out and they play for him, they play well, and it's a defensive game and they're just all clicking on. That's the only thing I worry about. And boy, oh boy, I think it will be a game for Jai Arrow, and that will be in their back of their minds. So that's the only thing that scares me a bit, but I'm just going to go with my gut and just hope that Drinkwater has a great game. But again, I know that's maybe a very random thing to think of, but that's the way I think of it. If something happened to my mate and he played on the same team as me in sports, and he wasn't there like on the field with me, no doubt I'd be playing for him and giving 120%. So that could be something I need to be wary of. But again, that's the best pick I have. You know what I mean? That's the best pick I have. And yeah, that's my rundown for the vice captains and captaincies. If you even want to go for a Bostock with a vice captaincy, go for a Bostock. You could go for a Suafa logo as well. I think for me this week, it's Suafa logo as vice captain, just because the Bulldogs have been the Bulldogs. They lose Stephen Crichton. If Melbourne do come out and just put on a tear and Bulldogs look the same, so be it. If I didn't have to go Suafa logo this week, in all honesty with you, I want to go forward, but I think I'd go Ryan Couchman. I think he's just got, if he can snag an attacking stat, it could be an easy 100, 110. So yeah, that's the type of play I'd go for. Cheeky one could be Oliver Pascoe as a little vice captaincy play if you really want to get cheeky. But he needs to score a try in that and something and get some attacking stats as well. But he's been a gun in the last 2 rounds. And I know this has been an extensive take on sort of my trades, my captains, my strategy this week. Now, I will say this again, the players I'm looking at getting in from the teams. Number 1 for me is Canberra. They just have a really good run up until round 18. It's very free. I can worry about it in round 16, 17, where I might want to look at moving them out. The 3 main players would most surely be someone like a Horsburgh, Tarpanay, or a Zach Hosking. That's completely fine. And then obviously the Dolphins, they don't play round 13. After that, you could be looking at, if you don't have them already, an Asako. You could look at a Bostock. You could even look at one like an Isaiah Katoa, Lemulelu, obviously Herbie injured. Avarillo may come back. Things could change there with how they position themselves. So that's something you want to look at. Warriors, I think a lot of people are going for TMM now because Warriors play this round. That's completely fine. Something I'm still considering, I'm not going to lie, like TMM may come in my team for Pezzett, and I could easily just not move to Fletcher Sharp with Purdue and just hope that TMM holds the position. I just hope some more news comes out about it. And then I think South have an okay draw, but just with the injuries, I'm a bit worried, but they have an okay draw after round 13. And St. George, you need to mention St. George. So if they turn it around this week and they look really good, look out for some plays there, even a Valentine Holmes. I think the draw does get a bit tough for them though. So they have the Broncos next week and then into the Sharks at Shark Park. Then they play round 15. No, they don't play round 15, sorry. Then they play round 16 into Newcastle at their home. This is another reason. I know Toby Couchman is an absolute beast, but they actually have a really hard draw. They're versing Newcastle at their home, Canberra at their home, Brisbane at Brisbane's home. It's really, really tough for them. So that's something you want to be aware of as well. Anyway, sorry for a lengthy video, 25 minutes, but I just wanted to go through how I was thinking about everything. Currently 2 trades left in the bank for this week with 24 in total, 1 boost left and 14 players ready to go. I wish you all the best for this week. Good luck with your captains. Good luck with your trades. If you need some help or want some advice, put them in the comments in YouTube or come through on the Discord. The link is in the description below. More than happy to help you guys out. Take care. Peace. Wolfie here from the Rage Traders.